All right, welcome back. Let's talk about the digital euro. The digital euro, it's an important topic right now because the European Commission recently announced that this month, this June 2023, they will be introducing legislation to introduce a framework, a legal framework for the introduction of the digital euro. Think about this for a moment. The European Union is this month, right now, talking about introducing the legal framework for a digital euro. And why are they doing this? Well, because the European Central Bank and the European Commission, they've already decided in between themselves in private that this digital euro is going to come there, it's going to be there, they're going to introduce it, and it doesn't really matter what anything happens or what anybody says about that or what anybody thinks about this, and whoever doesn't like it, well, that's just too bad because it's just going to be there. This is pretty much the tone of the European Central Bank and the European Commission. The tone they use to talk about this and how it's going to be there, it's so incredibly rock certain, it's so sure, it's so self-confident that these people have already decided that this thing is going to be there and it's going to happen no matter what anybody might think or say about this. Now, personally, I don't agree with this because I think that the digital euro is a terrible, terrible idea. Really, truly terrible from multiple angles. Not just the privacy thing and the government overreach, government control thing, which is usually what people who are against the digital euro and who are against CBDCs usually focus on. But there are more aspects about the digital euro, about CBDCs, which are really, really, really terrible and just plain stupid. Because there's the privacy thing. There's the fact that there is no economic necessity for a digital euro. There's also the fact that these things are markedly bad for the environment because they require electricity to exist and to run. So they're not green and they're actually bad for the environment. And beyond that, there's also, of course, no economic necessity, which, you'd kind of expect for like a coinage, a currency, that we don't have it if we don't need it, and we don't introduce it if there's no economic necessity. So there are many, many reasons why we do not need this digital euro and why it would actually be a terrible, terrible idea to introduce this. But nevertheless, the European Commission and the European Central Bank seem determined to push this through. Of course, unfortunately for them, or maybe not, before they can actually put this thing into law, before they can actually introduce this in the EU and force every European citizen to be confronted with this nonsense, because let's be honest about this, this is a major change. This is a major change. A digital euro, a CBDC, will have a direct influence on your life. Even if you say that you do not want to use this digital product, even if you say this, even if you say that I'm never ever going to use it, like me, I'm never ever going to use it, it will still have a direct result, effect, consequence on your life. Because businesses sure as hell are going to use it, because they're going to be forced to use this like they are forced to do everything else that the European Commission says. Nobody actually agrees with any of this legislation. Nobody. But it's being forced upon us anyway because, let's be honest, the EU is not really a democracy. It isn't. As far as I know, the Commission is not elected by anyone, has never been elected by anyone, so it is not a democracy. But at the same point, these massive, disruptive pieces of legislation are being imposed upon Europe, upon the Union, by a de facto government which has been elected by no citizen. And that's just not right. That's not right. So it may be clear. It's probably clear to you that I do not agree with the digital euro, with the plans for the digital euro. I think it's a terrible, terrible idea, and I have some really good reasons for this. Really, really, really good reasons. Which is why I have decided to put all these reasons together and just nicely write them up in an open letter to the European Parliament, which I'm going to send tonight, if I get it done, to all 500 plus members of the European Parliament. Because let's be honest, as this is a issue, a disruption, a financial disruption, a disruption of the financial system basically, which affects all European citizens, then we should also write to all members of the European Parliament. That makes sense, right? So we can reach as many people as possible who may not know what all the disadvantages and all the downsides are of a CBDC, and specifically of a digital euro. So this is what I've done. I've written this letter. I've also done a couple of translations in the various official languages of Europe, of the EU, and I'm going to send these tonight if I can get them done on time. So the ladies and gentlemen MEPs will get them in their inboxes, and they can ruminate about that. They can think about that, and maybe it'll teach them something that they didn't know yet about this idea of the European Commission to institute the digital euro, which apparently, as far as I know, nobody actually wants this, because we're all quite happy with our financial infrastructure that we have right now. I mean, we've got cash, we've got cards. Frankly, it works well enough. It works well enough because the European financial infrastructure is actually quite advanced. It's actually quite advanced. I mean, we can deal with this. You can order online. You don't actually need a digital euro to buy stuff online. There's actually no economic necessity, none. So why do we need this? Why do we need this? I don't know. Nobody has ever been able to explain why there is a necessity for the digital euro. Nobody. It's being pushed, but there is no reason. There is no economic valid reason to do this. So the only reason I can think of is that maybe it's not an economic reason, maybe it's a political reason. Maybe it's a control reason. So people, government specifically, the EU specifically, can get their myths, can wrap their tentacles around your private finances and your financial reserve. It's basically just a tax scheme. It's a tax fraud. Because sure as hell, I can promise you this right now, that the digital euro will not be free. You will be paying a transaction cost for every digital euro you spend. I can guarantee it. I will bet money on that right now, that as soon as that digital euro is pushed through and introduced, it will not be free. You will have to pay a transaction cost for every digital euro you spend. We see this right now already with bank machines, ATMs, where the idea of getting your money free out of the ATM, because it's your money after all, it's going out the door. It's being made obsolete. Because now, even if you want money out of the ATM, you have to pay a fee. In many, many machines, you have to pay a fee just to get your money. And you think that same system will not be applied to the digital euro. Of course it will be. Just a money-making scheme. It's a scheme to make cash, to fill the pockets of people who already have too much money to begin with, and to get your private finances under government control. That is the point. Now, I do not agree with this. I also don't think that we need this. So this is why I wrote this letter. And you can find, I'll put a link up in the comments below, so you can follow this to my website, so you can read it yourself. Because you can see what my argumentation is, and maybe you agree with it, maybe you disagree with it. I think it's something that makes perfect sense, but maybe you don't agree with this, Maybe you don't, and I would love to hear it if you don't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying that I am right about everything, although I'm pretty convinced that I'm correct in this case. But hey, if you have some other idea about this, I would love to hear it. Drop me a line. Drop me a comment. It's fantastic. I am curious about what you want to say. But in the meantime, just go to the link put down in the comment box, and you'll see my letter to the European Parliament, and then you can read it and see what you think about this. Maybe you'll find it interesting. Maybe it'll tell you something you don't know yet, or show you a different aspect of looking at this subject, which is so very, very important, because it's being implemented right now, whether we like to or not. So can we do something about this? I mean, do we actually ever say, well, we're supposed to, don't we? Europe is supposed to be democratic, isn't it? It's supposed to. The European Parliament is supposed to be there for a reason, to represent the European people, right? That's the point. So let's take that first step and just write your MEP about this. Just write him a letter and ask, well, hey, what's going on here? Can you explain this? How are you going to vote? How are you going to vote when this vote comes? How are you going to vote? Are you going to vote yes? Are you going to vote no? What are you going to do? Because I think this and that, I think no or yes, and for these reasons. So how are you going to represent me? So let's do this. Let's make European democracy count again for something. Let's try and repair the damage that's been done to Europe's democratic values and democratic system, and let's just get with it, and let's just do this. And let's see what the EP has to say. All right. So we're gonna wait and see. And I wonder if I get any response from who am I gonna get any response? I mean, I'm gonna send it. I've written every single European parliamentarian in their home languages, in their own native languages. So we're gonna see. It's gonna be interesting. It is gonna be interesting, and I am curious to find out. I'm curious. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you an update as soon as I hear anything. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.